Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws, Gunslingers, Mafia edition with your host Bang and Dang, and this one's going to be a super tiny short one.
Super tiny.
Got 3 acting bosses before we get to next week's present boss, Vic Amuso. Yeah, we got Louis Daidone, Matthew Madonna, Michael DeSantis, who is the current street boss or acting boss right now before we wrap things up with the old prison boss, Vic Amuso, next week. Yeah, these guys, they're newer. Well, they're not newer. They've been around for a while, but these Lucchese's, man, nobody knows a lot about these guys because there's nothing special, especially on Daidone and DeSantis, especially. Madonna was not really nothing either, but there's nothing out on these guys. Amuso, nothing really out on him. If you guys listen to us regularly, these stories are going to be
Pretty much.
You're going to be hearing a lot of the same stuff with these 3 guys.
Pretty much all intertwined.
But we're still going to say them because these can be put out as separate YouTube clips on each one of these guys. So
Obviously.
can't skip over stuff. But hey, what do you know? It's the Mafia. Lucchese Family has not been doing numbers for us. I'll just tell you that.
Yeah, nobody knows who they are.
We got Louis Daidone, Matthew Madonna, Michael DeSantis. Like I said, start out with old Louis. He was born February 23rd, 1946. Yeah, some of these guys, him and DeSantis don't even have like a birth story or anything like that.
Right.
Dude. It's crazy. He, they call him Louis Bagels or Louis Crossbay as well. He served as captain, then consigliere, and finally became the acting boss. He was born and raised. Oh, I lied again. He was born and raised in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn. He played as a quarterback for New Utrecht High School and was offered a football scholarship to Indiana State University in 1963.
Okay.
Instead, he stayed in Bensonhurst. Daidone's nickname, Louis Bagel, is because he owned part of a Howard Beach bagel shop,
Makes
Bagels
sense.
by the Bay.
Makes sense.
That was on Cross Bay Boulevard, where he controlled most of his illegal rackets.
They should have just called it Bagel. B-A-Y.
Bagels, right. Right. 60s people aren't smart, man.
Right.
He also ran a car service and was heavily active in hijacking cigarettes and tires.
Dude, cigarettes back then was like a major, even though they were like 75 cents a pack, which I don't understand.
Yeah, you hijack them and sell them for 50 cents.
He became an associate of the Carnegie crew under Capo Paul Vario.
Oh, Paul Vario. We'll have his little episode coming up here soon.
23rd of August, 1982. Daidone and Alphonse Darko and 4 other men. They were made into the Lucchese family right when everybody was coming back. They had a list. They just started making people in droves in the 80s.
You had people waiting for 30, 40 years some points.
Right. The ceremony was conducted by boss Anthony Corello, underboss Salvatore Santoro, capo Paul Vario, and members Frank Manzo, Peter De Palermo, Charles De Palermo, and Salvatore De Simone. Later stages of 1988, everybody's getting ready to drop that New Year's ball. Lucchese boss Vic Amuso ordered Daidone to murder Lucchese associate Thomas Gilmore, they call him Red, after becoming suspicious of him and being an informant.
That's his problem. He's suspicious of everybody. Gilmore ran a chop shop, operated a limousine service, and was involved in loan sharking operations. February 5th, 1989, Daidone, along with Patty Delarusso and another associate, they waited for Gilmore near his apartment in Richmond Hills, Queens. Then they ambushed him, shot him 3 times in the head and neck. August 1990, Anthony Casso, we'll have an episode on that, psycho. He gave Frank Lastarino the contract to murder mobster Bruno Fasciola. After Casso had received information from 2 NYPD police detectives, Louis Eppolito and Stephen Caracappa, we probably even have an episode on these guys.
Most likely.
We've said their names a few times with this Lucchese family. They just got indicted not too long ago. Within the last 15 years, I believe.
Yeah. Caracappa, not too long. I think it was Eppolito that was,
2005.
Life in prison, 2009.
Yeah, those cops, crooked cops.
On 24th of August, 1990, Frank Lastarino, Louis Daidone, and Richard Pagliarulo, they murdered Bruno Fasciola. Lastarino arranged to bring Fasciola to a Brooklyn garage. Inside the garage, Lastarino stabbed him, and Pagliarulo, they shot him 6 times in the face and the chest. Daidone stuffed a dead canary into Ficciolla's mouth and left his body in the trunk of his 1985 Mercury sedan. He abandoned that very car on East 55th Street in Canarsie. In early 1991, Daidone promoted to acting capo of the Canarsie crew when Alphonse Darco was promoted to acting boss.
May 1st, 92, Daidone and Robert Molinelli, Raymond Argentina, and Alan Taglianetti. They were convicted of conspiring to rob the Rapid Armor Truck Company vehicle March 25th, 1988. Daidone, he was sentenced to 5 years in prison for that. The stolen $1.2 million never recovered, though.
It worked out then.
All right. He eventually was paroled in 1996 under orders preventing him from speaking to known criminals for 3 years.
Yeah, whatever.
He almost violated his parole when he allegedly contacted Lucchese mobster Raymond Argentina, the same guy that he did it with. After this, he was promoted to consigliere during this time.
So clearly he was he was talking to the mobsters.
Right.
In the year 2000, after Stephen Crea was indicted on corruption charges, Daidone was promoted to acting boss of the family. 15th November, everybody in the Midwest getting ready to go hunting, get that big old whitetail. In 2002, Daidone was charged along with concierge Joseph Carity and 12 others on racketeering and extortion charges of a Long Island strip club, Cinderella, spelled with an S, among other businesses.
Cinderella, get it?
Right. In December of 2002, Daidone was indicted along concierge Joseph Carity, acting capo Johnny Sideburn Sorella, and soldier Vincent Salinardi. They call him Vinny Baldi. I bet he didn't like that. And 12 others on racketeering, extortion charges of a Long Island business.
12 plus 8.
20 others.
Right.
Holy shit.
March 2003, Daidone was indicted again for racketeering, loan sharking, gambling, and conspiracy to commit murder for the 1989 Gilmore murder.
Get out of here. You guys can't do that.
And the 1990 Ficciolo murder, among other crimes. Former Lucchese family acting boss Al Darco testified against Daidone during this trial. 2004, Daidone's daughter Lori's fiance, John McCallie, who was a Gambino family associate, he pleaded guilty to bank burglary charges in Brooklyn and agreed to serve up to 6 years behind bars.
Wow.
Okay. June 30th, 2004, Daidone was sentenced to life after being convicted of loan sharking charges and the conspiracy to murder Gilmore and Ficciolo. As of May 2018, and probably today, he's currently incarcerated at the High Security United States Penitentiary, USP, in Allenwood, Pennsylvania.
Really? Take a look at old Matthew Madonna. He was born November 2nd, 1935. He's a member of the Lucchese crime family, obviously. He served as an acting boss before being in prison in 2017. In 1959, at the ripe age of 24, he served a sentence at the Green Haven Correctional Facility in upstate New York. He became acquainted with Nicky Barnes while he was there, who is a young drug dealer from Harlem.
Everybody knows old Nicky Barnes.
Yeah. After their release from prison, Barnes would meet with Madonna to get the location of a car parked in a municipal lot in Manhattan and the keys to that car. Heroin would be in the trunk. In the night of February of 1975, one of those days, a 20-kilogram load of heroin from Bangkok was in a car that Madonna had parked in a 24-hour lot in Manhattan. After eluding the cops, Barnes picked up the car, drove to... Why would the cops be around him?
I'm sure they know who Nicky Barnes is, man.
Right, when they let him go, they're just going to follow him. Right. Barnes picked up the car and drove to one of several apartments he kept, where underlings cut and packaged the
He's got
heroin.
underlings cutting and packaging it for him, but he doesn't have an underling picking up the damn car?
Right. 2 days later, Barnes returned that very car, its trunk full of cash. And it was at a different lot, though. And he met Madonna on another street corner and gave him back the keys.
Look at that.
Madonna and Barnes, they continued this arrangement until 1975, when Madonna arrested for drug trafficking. 21st of December, Madonna was sentenced 30 years in federal prison.
Damn. It was. December 81, while still in prison, Madonna received a summons to testify before a grand jury about narcotics activity in the New York area. In 2 appearances before the grand jury, Madonna refused to testify, even after being granted immunity from self-incrimination.
Wow.
Look at this loyal guy.
Right.
The judge finally held Madonna in contempt of court, said, "Get this bastard out of here. You're going to get an extra 528 days added to your sentence,
another year,
bastard."
Another year and 3 months. Another year and like 6 months, year and a half.
Oh, don't worry. He doesn't serve even near that.
Well, 1995, after serving 20 years in prison, Madonna released. Lewisburg Federal Penitentiary. Around 1998, Madonna inducted into the Lucchese family as a reward for his silence
Damn right. It's the least they could do.
and to assist his return to earning money for the family. Shortly thereafter, Madonna became a capo. Madonna, he sent to prison again, but released on the 22nd of September 2003.
You got to stay off. You got to not violate your parole, buddy.
After the convictions of family leaders Stephen Crea, Louis Daidone, Dominic Trusello, and the cooperation of former acting boss Joseph DeFede, the Lucchese's established a three-man ruling panel to govern the family. With Madonna, alongside was Agnello Migliore and Joseph DiNapoli. They all headed this panel as a three-headed monster, ready to rule on the streets of Harlem.
Among others, yeah. December 18th, 2007, New Jersey law enforcement arrested Madonna and 32 other members and associates of the family. In a year-long investigation titled Operation Heat, law enforcement agencies uncovered $2.2 billion illegal gambling operation,
Holy shit.
money laundering, and racketeering ring. The scheme involved collecting bets from gamblers on basketball, football, greyhound races, and the lottery. The mob collected bets over the internet and by phone from a location in Costa Rica with the help from Joseph Mancino, who was a senior member of the Gambino family. I wonder if, when did that NBA ref get busted? Was this around that time?
It was mid-90s, early
Donahue?
90s, yeah.
No, it was-
Late 90s.
Fuck no.
Oh, no, it was like 2010 or something like that, wasn't it?
Like
Tim Donahue, yeah, it was like 2010, 2007.
2007 is when you got found out. So it was, yeah.
Holy shit.
So it was definitely around this time they were doing. I guarantee he had something to do with that.
Along with Madonna ruling panel member Joseph DiNapoli, top New Jersey faction capos Ralph Perna and Nicodemo Scarfo Jr., they were all indicted in May of 2010.
Somebody thought that was such a good name that they would use it twice.
Madonna, he was released on bail pending trial, which is odd. In 2008, The Village Voice, it reported that Madonna was an employee of Big Geyser, Inc., New York's.
That's what we call your mom.
New York's largest distributor of health beverages.
Oh.
It was speculated that this was a no-show job.
Well, no shit.
A no-shit job for Madonna.
Jeez. After the ruling panel was disbanded in 2009, Matthew Madonna, he took over as acting boss. Joseph DiNapoli became the new concierge. In late 2009, the parole restrictions expired on longtime underboss Stephen Crea, and he was able to rejoin the family's leadership again.
Oh, good for him.
October 1st, 2009, Madonna was indicted along with Joseph DiNapoli and 27 others in a large racketeering scheme. This indictment stated that Madonna was a key player in a vast operation that grossed approximately $400 million from, you guessed it, legal gambling, loan jargon, gun trafficking, and extortion.
Dude's 80 years old out there doing this shit like an idiot when he should be sitting at home. 80 years old. A second part of the indictment charged that Madonna and other Lucchese mobsters, they ran a bribery scheme among New York City building inspectors. On the 28th of June 2010, Madonna and the other defendants pled not guilty to all charges. Madonna granted bail again while the trial was delayed. In 2013, Madonna, along with John Casalucci, they performed a secret initiation ceremony for John Panizzi in a basement of a Staten Island home.
Good. Cool.
Awesome. On the 17th of June, how do they even know that? 17th of June, 2015, Madonna, he said, you know what, I'll plead guilty to 2007 racketeering indictment. And he's sentenced to 5 years in prison on the 30th of September, 2015.
Oh, damn. That was the one with the $2.2 billion one. So it took freaking 8 years to even do anything?
Wow. Pled guilty, huh?
Oh, before his release date, Madonna and 18 others, they were charged May 31st, 2017 with a wide range of racketeering activities, which included ordering the November 15, 2013 murder of East Harlem Purple Gang leader
That's why
Michael
That's
Meldish.
why he should never pled guilty, because you already know
Right,
he's
once you're
lucky
in
he
there-
got out a couple of times without getting other charges on him.
That's what Junior Gotti said once they got you in there. That's what John Gotti said. Don't go into prison because they're not going to let you out.
Right.
And as soon as Junior Gotti's sentence was up, they tried sentencing him again. November 2013, Meldish, he pulled up to a stop at a crosswalk. As he exited his vehicle, he was fired on. Shooter had either ambushed Meldish at this location or was his passenger. We don't know.
Okay.
He was shot in the right side of his head from a short distance. Gunpowder residue was lacking. If he was shot in the right side of his head, it would probably be the passenger, no?
Damn. Well, investigators eventually focused on Madonna and an unnamed Bonanno boss, though Madonna would seem to have had more reasons to order Meldish's death. According to published reports, Madonna was angry at Meldish and his ways. In the 15 months before he was shot to death, he was very pissed at the way this guy was handling his business. It is likely that Madonna and Meldish also had a long-standing relationship going back to the 70s in Harlem, when the Purple Gang was murdering and dismembering, and Madonna was driving a car loaded with heroin meant for a drug kingpin. So these guys were on the startups.
Okay. Well, during the May 2019 testimony of government witness John Panizzi, that's why that's notable, I guess.
Okay.
It was revealed that in 2017, boss Vic Amuso, he sent a letter to underboss Stephen Crea, which stated that Michael DeSantis would take over as acting boss, replacing Madonna. Madonna and Crea both stepped down and agreed to Amuso's orders.
I don't think they had a choice.
Right.
Okay, 15th of November 2019. Madonna, Crea, Christopher Londonio, and Terrence Caldwell were convicted in White Plains federal court of executing the murder of Michael Meldish. 27th of July 2020, Madonna was sentenced to life in prison for Meldish's
2 years?
Right. Right. Sentenced to life in prison for Meldish's murder, along with Londonio and Caldwell. Madonna is still incarcerated at the United States Penitentiary in McCreary, Kentucky at 90 years old.
Dude ain't dead yet. These Italians, they like to live when they're not shooting each other in the head. You know?
Shows you how undeadly COVID was. Dude is 85 years old.
Well, we did have that one guy that they claimed died from COVID.
It's true.
Yeah, which brings us to the last guy of the night and the current acting boss, Michael DeSantis. They call him Big Mike. Ooh, not that Big Mike.
Right.
He's obviously a member of the Lucchese's and the Brooklyn faction. One of the biggest supporters of old Vic Amuso. Because if you remember, well, you don't remember because we haven't done him yet.
Right.
But old Vicky, he's a Brooklyn guy himself.
He is.
Yeah, Big Mike. Couldn't really find what year he was born, but nevertheless, either or, we're fast forwarding to whatever age he is in November 1989. He was inducted into the family along with Richie Pagliarulo, Frank Federico, and 2 others, with ceremony being conducted by boss Vic Amuso, underboss Anthony Casso, Capos Al Darko, Sal Avellino, Peter Chiodo, Bobby Amuso, Frank Lastarino, and Anthony Barata.
Cool. Fantastic. 18th September 1991, DeSantis, along with Capos Anthony Barata and Frank Lastarino, soldier Frankie Federico, they conspired to murder Alphonse Darko. Damn, to do was there to even get you made, you bastard.
Well, it was another case of Amuso and Casso being paranoid.
Right. They were going to murder him in the Kimberly Hotel in Manhattan. But guess what? That failed. DeSantis walked into the Kimberly Hotel wearing a bulletproof vest and a gun in his waistband. But Darko, he spotted that damn gun. While DeSantis went to hide the gun in the bathroom, Darko made his escape, eventually defecting and becoming a government witness. I would too.
Sure did. April 93, DeSantis, he was indicted and jailed along with Lastarino and Pagliarulo. That was on murder, conspiracy, extortion, and other racketeering charges.
Clearly.
He served 18 years in prison for his involvement in 2 1980s murders for the boss.
Oh, wow.
June 28, 2010, he's released. Flash forward to May 2014, the FBI observed a sit-down on Long Island between DeSantis, along with his capo Carmine Avellino, and capo John Castellucci, along with Castellucci's crew member John Sorella. That's apparently over illegal criminal activity between DeSantis, Sorella, and Castellucci, obviously. That's not good for him, though.
No, not at all. Well, because of this, DeSantis violated his parole restrictions. But he did not return to prison because he had a shoulder replacement surgery and was able to stay in home detention until his parole restriction ended in June 28th, 2015. Look at this guy.
Either luck or scheduled on purpose.
During May 2019 testimony of government witness John Panizzi, it was revealed that in the year of 2017, DeSantis sent Amuso a letter. And this letter said, "There are guys out here loyal to you who want to bring the family back to Brooklyn." Well, Vic Amuso then sent a letter to underboss Stephen Crea, stating that DeSantis would take over as acting boss. I like that letter. Right. Nice. Replacing Bronx-based Matthew Madonna
Get the Bronx out of here. Get Brooklyn back in. And apparently, if Amuso's orders were not followed, he approved of murdering a number of Bronx faction members.
Damn.
DeSantis took over as acting boss after Madonna and Crea both stepped down and agreed to Amuso's orders.
Again, has no choice.
Yeah. May 2020, DeSantis, he was identified in an FBI surveillance photo. He was meeting with Lucchese members, concierge Andrew DeSimone, capos Frank Salerno and George Zapola, and soldiers Anthony Villani and Anthony Barada in Jefferson Park. And according to them, he's the guy. He's the guy on the streets right now.
With the cell phones nowadays and everything being recorded, you got cameras on every freaking block, especially in New York. These guys should not be out in public meeting each other.
It's a rough racket being a mobster nowadays, man.
All right.
Can't trust nobody.
Damn.
You think you couldn't trust nobody in the
Right.
old days where there was nothing like that? And now even there's more murders going on that we don't know about.
Oh, for sure.
They're just not in the news. Back then, the Mafia was the tactic to scare people. They don't need that no more when they got all this other shit going on. So, yeah, this probably will be 22 minutes probably if we're lucky.
Decent.
But, I mean, whatever. Our last 3 episodes were not even an hour combined of Outlaws and Gunslingers.
That's good. It's perfect.
So, yeah, there's that, though. Next week, we'll wrap up the actual bosses with old Vicky. Little Vic, they call him. Vittorio. This dude was born in 1934 and he's still kicking.
Damn.
He was 91 years old running the damn thing from the prison. He's described as the Deadly Don by United States Attorney Charles Rose. So, yeah, he was a paranoid guy and got a lot of people killed just because he thought they were informing on him. So we'll have him wrap it up with the bosses, have a couple other bosses.
Well, the 80s did fuck a lot of people's brains up. The people that never got charged with anything or whatever, and they're seeing all these motherfuckers getting indicted and go to prison. Holy shit.
That's pretty true. Yeah, well, basically the 80s.
How many were there? Was hundreds of them or something like that?
80s when they started doing the commission trial and all that shit like that. That's when everybody started turning, so you couldn't trust nobody, dude.
Damn.
Yeah, but that's it for us. Next week we'll be back for more Outlaws Motorcycle Club, and we'll be covering.
Who we got? Oh, Outlaws now still? I thought we're done with those fuckers.
No, we'll be covering Jim Nolan. One of the. He was from the Outlaws from 1967.
He founded the South Florida chapter.
Right. So we'll have him. It's either going to be him or the other guy.
Oh, damn.
Harry Bowman. We'll be back then for more Outlaws and Gunslingers. Where the mother Michiganders we.
Bang, dang.